Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to the showdown between the Wood Elves led by Mel Gibson and the High Elves who are going to be led by Alariel the Radiant. So without further ado, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So in the front line, I do have mostly Eternal Guards with shields. I think in total I do have 5 groups, looks like 2 on each flank, and then in the center I do have the Winterheart Guards, which are the ROR of Eternal Guards with shields. Definitely a very solid unit. They have pretty high melee attack for a defensive spear unit at 32, 58 melee defense, so they're going to be really durable. And you already think of regular Eternal Guards take forever to kill with 47, 48, 49 melee defense. These guys are rocking a hard 58 and are definitely not going anywhere as they are unbreakable. So you can see down here they do have that unbreakable trait. So I like them in, most matchups. I feel like they're a pretty good choice. If you want to put them in the center and make sure your flanks aren't going to get collapsed inward, I think they're a very solid pick. For our Lord and Savior, we do have the mighty Mel Gibson, or Orion as they say, and Wow, I did not know that he has a bonus first large. So he has 512 weapon strength right now with a bonus first large of 15. So I haven't played the Wood Elves in a couple months. So I feel like, well, it feels like it's been a couple months, but perhaps they made a change in that time period to give him a bonus first large. But if this is something new, that is incredibly good. If he's facing off against Star Dragons, Dragon Princes, enemy nobles, just, a lot of pertinent targets for him, that's definitely going to make him substantially better. But regardless, very good AP, pretty mobile with 54 speed. He's unbreakable, has a really good diversity with his ranged attacks, 140 range, good AP on his ranged attacks. But what I really like him for in this matchup, if they're using like Sisters of Avalorn, Archers, Lothern Seaguard, anything that's going to be sitting and shooting at you, the Hounds of Mel Gibson right here, as well as the Hawk's Talon, both do a ton of damage. And yes, he might be a little bit squishy with 30 armor and low melee defense, but once the Cloak of Isha procs and he gets below 20% HP, he starts to heal himself, and he also gets a 44% ward save, which is really, really good and makes him deceptively tough to kill. That's pretty much it for our front line here. Up in the air, we do have 2 groups of Hawk Riders. So this is something that I wanted to experiment with a little bit. Might seem a bit risky because they're incredibly squishy, and High Elves, of course, do have a ton of Archers. They have Lothern Seaguard and just a bunch of troops that can pick them off, but I wanted to try to use these guys defensively, just keep them in my back line and use them as more of like an anti-cav unit. So heavy cav are definitely a pretty good tool against the Wood Elves because Wild Riders can't really stand up to them. So I was thinking, okay, I'll charge in the front with the Wild Riders, take the brunt of it, and then rear charge with the Hawk Riders, who actually have 45 weapon strength in melee and really good AP. So basically I just wanted to use them as a flanking / anti-cav unit. On top of that, we do have the Hawk Eyes of Drakira, which are the ROR of the not Deepwood Scouts, but Way Watchers. So they're incredibly powerful. 190 range. They also have Discourage. They have Smoke Bomb and are a very powerful kind of anti-elite unit. So if you're shooting at like, dragons, or I think Alariel has pretty good missile resist, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, I just wanted to use them to snipe out high-value targets like Dragon Princes and things like that. 2 groups of Wild Riders, and that's pretty much it for my army, guys. I do have a branch right down here, and for my opponent, he has a couple of Lyrian Reavers here, Alariel the Radiant, as we said, a front line of Spearmen, 2 Lothern Seaguard, which are good because they're durable against the Wild Rider attacks, plus they can, they can trade pretty effectively with a lot of the Wood Elf Archers. He does have a Frostheart Phoenix here, 2 more Lyrian Reavers on the far side, and that is pretty much it. So without further ado, guys, let's get this show on the road. So the first engagement my opponent took over here is he did engage these 2 Reavers, and I actually fly over with the Hawk Riders, and then get a rear charge. So that's kind of what I was hoping to do, and I think that's, kind of one of the hidden niches of the Hawk Riders. A lot of people look at them as like a ranged unit, but I think they're really going to shine in this situation here. So my opponent does use the Heart of Avalorn, but I think it was a little too late, and he probably underestimated the Hawk Riders. And it is going to heal those guys up pretty quick with the Earthblood and the Star, so you can see they're barely taking any damage, but they're just going to get pinned by the Hawk Riders and not be able to escape. So definitely a good start. In the meantime, Mel Gibson is going to be using the Hawk's Talon right here, so check this out. So they're at about, they're at full health right now, and here comes the Hawk's Talon from the sky, and it comes down and does a ton of damage, and that's a bound ability that takes no wins of magic. Mel Gibson, in the meantime, is going to be engaging with some of these Lothern Seaguard, who will trade pretty well with him. Unfortunately, he is a large target. As you can see, he's pretty big and Chad right here, but he's going to be able to take these guys out and at the very least keep them from firing. So yeah, you can see Mel's doing his thing over here. On the far side, though, my Wild Riders have been 2v1, so my opponent did kind of concede that flank over there. He let those Lyrian Reavers kind of get massacred, unfortunately for him, but he did get a nice 2 versus 1 or 3 versus 1 situation here. So his Reavers plus this Frostheart Phoenix have engaged, and the Frostheart Phoenix does give negative melee attack, putting them down to 25, and they're basically surrounded and taking quite a bit of damage from the Phoenix, as well as all these units. And you can see Alariel flies by, and I think she tried to get a Tempest, but it didn't look to slow them too much. They're still rocking 31 speed, so man, those guys are just incredibly quick, moving through that Tempest and having a good old time. So realizing I need to reinforce this area, I'm going to be coming over here. So I fly the Hawk Riders up and behind. I send one of them to attack Alariel just to kind of keep her busy. And then the other one I just rear charge in here. So they're going to swoop in and attack. This might have been a little bit foolhardy though, because Reavers do pretty well in melee, and the Frostheart Phoenix should be able to do well as well. So I do get my cabin here. You can see these, what are these guys? The Wild Riders come in, and as soon as they come in, I wait, I get a very nice timed Earthblood. So that's going to be healing up all of these troops. definitely netting me some solid value, but I took some damage, but ultimately those Wild Riders held really well against those 3 units. In the back, my opponent does have his 2 Nobles, and he is going to be chasing my Hawkeyes of Drakira, who have been taking quite a beating, unfortunately. But, you know, at the very least, they've been a distraction, you know, a very expensive one. My opponent's been chasing down and picking them off with his Nobles here. So you can see they're going, and I do have my Branch Wraith coming in, just sprinting in there, and some of these Eternal Guard are going to kind of screen these guys out, and they have bonus versus large and AP, so they should be able to get through Nobles pretty well. In the front line, it's a bit of a wash. You can see Mel Gibson has just been on the hunt all day. He's just sprinting after these guys, just skewering them as he chases them. Such a cool model. Orion's just such a badass. But Orion's just going to be chasing these guys down, getting some nice skewers. And you can see another Tempest going down on my Hawk Riders right here, trying to pin those guys down. But it looks like Alarielle was able to win that fight pretty heavily versus the Hawk Riders. And unfortunately, I do lose one of my groups there. So that's a little bit of a rough situation. In the front, it's a bit of a wet noodle contest. You can see I do have 66 Eternal Guard versus Spearman here. I wonder like how the stat line differs. So let's see. These guys have chevrons though. So 30 or 28, 49, 24. So the melee defense is a little bit higher, and the base weapon strength on the Spearman is also a little bit higher. But yeah, the stats are pretty much, you know, it's pretty negligible. But every time my opponent's been casting, it's been giving a ward save with the Shield of Sacri to all of his Spearmen, which I think is, you know, putting them ahead or at least making the fight a little bit closer. In the center, the Winterheart Guard are still fighting pretty hard against these Spearmen, but they were attacked by a couple units. And you can see the Horn of the Wild Hunt going down, which is a map-wide effect that Mel Gibson has, so it gives 25% speed, which is really nice. Over here, I was trying my best to pin down his Frostheart Phoenix, so he kept trying to get away with it, but Wild Riders are very quick, and as soon as it tried to flee, I used the Horn of the Wild Hunt, putting my speed up to 106, which allows me to actually go faster than the Frostheart Phoenix. So it hasn't been able to get away. My opponent using the Star of Averlorn to heal, and you can also see that Alarielle is going to be landing here to help out, but these Wild Riders do very well against the Phoenix, even though it's like a large target, and I guess they don't have anti-large, but still, they're pinning it down. They have good mass, and Wood Elf units in general have okay leaderships, and they're not going to break and terror out terribly easily. The Hawkeyes of Drakira, unfortunately, are not having a good time. They're down to about 12 models, still just running, and I'm trying my best to screen with these Eternal Guard, but my opponent has been doing a pretty good job just maneuvering up and around and going after those targets. And over here, we do have this Noble pretty heavily surrounded because the Nobles are here with their angry Rudolphs, and you can see he's down to about 45 leadership, and he's probably going to get killed this one, but the other one is still on the hunt. Front line, still a bit of a wash. Mel Gibson and his Hawk Riders have just been swooping and hunting down some of these Lothern Seaguard here. And where is he? Where's old lethal weapon here? I think he's here in the back. Yeah, there he is. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Lothern Seaguard do have anti-large, but I figured I could kind of alpha strike them. So I come in with Mel Gibson and the Hawk Riders, just trying my best to break their leadership. And you can see at that point, we do actually terrify them. Because Mel Gibson, I guess, does cause terror. I always forget that he does that. But yeah, definitely a very powerful hero, and you know, if you build your army correctly. So he's going to be chasing those guys down. The Lothern Seaguard are broken off. So at this point, I think I just finished off with this group. So I was like, all right, I need to get over here and kind of save my Wild Riders. They're in rough engagement. Alarielle and the Frost Pigeon would eventually take these guys out, as the Pigeon does have 80 armor. So I swoop in there. Mel Gibson getting a little bit caught up on the AI of those Lothern Seaguard, but he's going to be sprinting in here. And as soon as he comes in here, I'm pretty sure that Alarielle is probably going to book it, because she does not want any of that Gibson. No Braveheart action for her. But the Frostheart Phoenix still hanging in there pretty strong. A very defensive unit, high melee defense, and I don't know if they changed the armor. I don't remember it having 80 armor before, but maybe it does. I don't know. Anyways, I see a buff from Alarielle. Let's go and check what that was. Oh, it's gone now. Damn it. Mel Gibson is able to chase off the angry Pigeon Lady over here, and you can see he's just going to kind of run back across the battlefield. Probably going to go after those Lothern Seaguard, but bounce up power is pretty even. If anything, it's a little bit in my favor. My Eternal Guard are holding in the front line, and they should win in just a pure grind with Spearmen, simply because the Spearmen will lose their martial prowess, whereas the Eternal Guard will stay, you know, pretty strong throughout the course of the entire battle. But very heavy wet noodle contest, like I said, but the Winterheart Guard are unbreakable, so don't really need to worry about that engagement. Over here, you can see Mel Gibson is being attacked by the Frostheart Phoenix, so it comes in, and he was doing some cycle charging with Alarielle, but I do get my Wild Riders in, get some good attacks on the Frostheart Phoenix as it's retreating. And you can see Mel is just hot on the hunt. So the Phoenix tries to turn around, but that is going to be rough, because Mel does have that anti-large bonus, which that is so cool. I did not know he had that. That must be something that's new. So I popped the Horn of the Wild Hunt, putting these guys up to 106, and now the Phoenix has no way of getting away. Mel Gibson's up to 76 speed, so maybe he'll be able to catch up. It's going to be a little bit tough regardless. In the main fight, I'm just using my Wild Riders, my groups that I have left, and they also benefited from that charge bonus, putting them up to 89, which is really, really solid. So I like the Horn of the Wild Hunt. I feel like it's an underrated item that I don't see a lot in multiplayer, but getting a map-wide speed buff is very good. So the Wild Riders are able to clean those guys up. You can see the Alarielle coming in here to kind of finish off those Spearmen, make sure they can't do too much, but we do get the Pigeon. So Mel Gibson and his contingent of Wild Riders. It's too bad it wasn't the Riders of Kurnus, but they were a little expensive. But we're able to get that, and Not wanting to use this like very healthy group of cav as well as Mel Gibson, I just decided to chase it off the battlefield using my Hawk Riders here. So the Hawk Riders doing a pretty good job. In the mainline fight, the Branch Wraith is coming in, which is going to give 9 melee attack to these Eternal Guard, making them a little bit, I don't know if it's 9, but it puts them up to 33. And we get a nice little rear charge, and we're going to be pinning these guys. And we should be able to finish off these Spearmen now that we have a surround. And I also sent the Winterhard Guard up in the round. We're going to flank just to break their leadership. And now Alariel is actually pinned down. So the Wild Riders have gotten her finally. And you can see Mel Gibson just spewing that, that lone Lothran Sea Guard back there, sending him into another dimension. And from here, you can see Alariel isn't going to... She's not going to last terribly long. Mel Gibson comes in there and just going to give her the business as she does. Fight to the end, but she is broken due to army losses. And that is going to be all she wrote. So well played to my opponent. It was a fun game. And it had been too long. I'm sorry if I betrayed any of you Wood Elf fans out there, but I know I need to get some good old Mel Gibson in. But I don't really enjoy like Wood Elf builds that are like very heavy on kiting. I enjoy the more aggressive ones using like Orion as well as like Spearmen and Wild Riders as well as like a couple supporting units, like something like what you guys saw here. That's how I like to play Wood Elves, and it definitely felt like quite a bit of fun. I really like Orion, and I did not know he had that bonus for Slarge. That is so good. But I mean, yeah, that really makes him like, if the nobles come after him, he is just going to whoop them because he has like 70 melee attack. You can give him the charge bonus. He has like 500 plus weapon strength. Definitely no joke. And I've seen like games where Orion gets brought down to like 20% by an enemy duelist lord, and then all of a sudden just Chad comes out and he's just like impossible to kill, which is so cool with that 44% ward save. But for my opponent's army, I definitely like Alariel as well as the 2 nobles. I think the Froststar Phoenix didn't do badly actually, but I think one of the big things that was an issue for him was just how he wasn't terribly careful with those Illyrian Reavers. I think he was trying to like play really aggressively and swarm in and hopefully outtrade me with the healing, but ultimately I think that didn't pan out and he lost quite a bit of gold on that initial engagement. But it still ended up being a close game, and those nobles were on the hunt. The Hawkeyes of Jakira unfortunately got punished, but yeah, it was quite a bit of fun. So very well played to my opponent, Burning Apollo. Look forward to running into you again on ladder, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this Wood Elf Mel Gibson game. Have an excellent night, guys, and take care.